Fee and Jane, hello.
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 This is very exciting to have you two. Like radio royalty is the phrase that springs to my mind immediately. And you're both... Is there a WhatsApp group as to what you were going to wear today? Or...
Do you know what? It's funny you should say that, because we keep turning up to work in the same or kind of slightly coordinated outfits. And we don't, obviously, it's not like we have a chart at home.
We really don't.
We really don't. But
So this was an accident?
Well, I think we've been working together too long, and we've ended up on one of those spooky twin ley lines, you know, when we do things at
You
the
just
same time
know.
together.
Yeah.
This is our autumn palette. Do you like it?
I do. I love it. I love it. It screams autumn. So, Jane, first question. How difficult was it coming up with these tracks? Because people seem to have it's a tough task.
Well, it's been agony, and I still haven't completely decided on the fifth track, if I'm honest.
Because you've only given me 3 here.
I know,
It's going to be a work in progress
Yes.
kind of thing
It's
this week,
because I
isn't
care.
it? Sophie, can we start with you? I'm going to start with your first track and the reason why you've picked this. I love this band. I love this track. What is it?
This is Aztec Camera and Oblivious. And the opening to this track just always takes me to a happy place. So it did when I was extremely young, because the 80s are a very, very long time ago from Steve, let's be honest about that. And it's just really uplifting. So it's one of those really, really happy memory tracks for me. If I need to cheer myself up now, this is what I put on.
And they're quite a band. They gave us quite a back catalogue as well.
Well, they did, but I don't know what you think, because you're much more of a kind of encyclopedic musical knowledge base than I am. But I don't think that they get quite their place, actually, in the 80s phenomenon. But I think for me, they would be in my top 3 80s bands.
Why this track?
This track, just because it's all jangly and wonderful. And I know it's a technical musical term I've used there.
You've lost me.
Well, it is, because it's almost a bit banjo-esque, isn't it, in places? So I don't think you can stay still when you listen to this track either. You try. Challenge for it.
Go on then, let's play it. It was a very special thing, Jane, because I came on your show a couple of months ago and you very kindly had me on, and you are amazing. I mean, I'm going to be embarrassing, but you are, obviously you've known each other for a long time, but the connection and the camaraderie is incredible. You don't talk over each other. You say exactly the right thing, exactly the right time, and you're incredibly funny.
We should marry.
I don't know why we haven't. Well, I mean, it's, as you know, have you ever done a radio show with someone else, Steve?
No, I've interviewed people, but no, I haven't. No, not as not someone that I've got to know as a co-presenter.
Exactly. Well, so it is a bit of an art form. I've done shows on my own, and I've done shows with other people, and I prefer to be with someone else. I'm a better broadcaster because I'm working with Fee.
So you're kind of bouncing off each other. Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, for us, it has taken a bit of practice, hasn't it?
Well, it has, because this is the first live daily show that we've done together at Times Radio. So that is different to doing a podcast, because, you know, a podcast is just how long can you stretch this lovely, lovely piece of elastic, and the radio show's a bit more tight piece of string. But I think what it enables you to do is to let your mind go exactly where it wants to go, because you know that the other person will either rein it in, shut you up, or hopefully prop you up.
So one of you can get back on track at any given moment, that kind of thing.
Which I think is quite a nice feeling, actually. Yeah.
That sounds great. Well, Jane, can I ask you for your first track? What are you going to go for?
This is ABC and All of My Heart.
Ooh.
And this, I think, is the ultimate in bombastic, fantastic, pop-tastic 80s stuff. I just love this. It's the attitude, it's the glossy production. There's so much going on here. I just think this is still brilliant. I saw ABC at the Albert Hall last year, and they were doing this album.
And he's still got it, hasn't he?
Lexicon of Love. He's still got it, old Martin, strutting around. And everyone in the audience was about my age. But who cares? It was a great night, and this is an impeccable song. Okay, so my second choice is Teardrop Explodes. Now, everyone has their favourite special, close to their heart band growing up.
Yeah.
And for reasons I don't fully understand, the Teardrops were my group. I grew up in Liverpool. Fee knows that, and because I do bang on about it. And Echo and the Bunnymen were a Liverpool group, really. But I liked them, but not as much as I love Teardrop Explos.
No, these were this was a troubled band.
Oh, very troubled. Any number of musical differences.
There was a lot of drama.
A hell of a lot of drama, but their music is dramatic and it's slightly off the wall. I think a certain number of psychedelic substances had been imbibed by the Teardrops. By the way, I was very innocent. I had no idea. I just thought they were kind of fantastical.
Well, I've got a question then. So when this song came out, had you started your whole journalism career? Were you going down that route?
No, I was still at school.
Oh, okay.
I was still at school,
so what did you want to do
I'm
when you were at school?
108 years old. What did I want to do?
What did you want to do?
I wanted to be... Well, I did want to be a journalist. I don't think I'd really decided on becoming a radio presenter, but I definitely wanted to be a journalist.
So you had that in your blood.
I definitely had that, and I was massively keen on radio, and that's how I really got into the music, through Janice Long, the late great Janice Long's show on Radio Merseyside, on a Sunday night, and she would play the more alternative music coming out of Liverpool, and the Teardrop Explos were one of the bands that she played.
And a quick question for you, Fee, early 80s, where was your head at about your career, your future development?
Well, I'm much, much younger than Jane, so obviously barely leaving primary school then. I was in secondary school, and just really weirdly, actually looking back on it now, I have kids, late teenagers of my own, who are trying to think about their place in the world. I always wanted to be a radio journalist. It was such a specific thing. I didn't just want to be a journalist, I wanted to be on the radio interviewing people and telling stories.
That is very specific.
It was so specific. It was really specific. But I think some of it came from... Actually, we lived in quite a rural place in Hampshire for a long time, until I was about second year of secondary school. And the radio just filled my world with all of this warmth, all of these people, all of these different lives. You know, it was a really wonderful thing. My mother thought that television was a little bit vulgar.
She's not wrong there.
So radio was my kind of window on the world. So that's how I fell in love with it. And how incredible, to have actually made a living out of it.
Yeah.
Because you watch people struggle to find the thing that they really love.
Let alone being able to do it and achieve it and do it to your level is incredible, isn't it?
Just stay in work would do, Steve. Just stay in work. It's worked out all right for the moment, Jane.
Fingers crossed.
This is, actually, a track straight out of the States. And in the middle of the disco era, New York City. This band were game changers. Well, please tell me more.
Oh, so we used to go to Winchester High Street. There was a statue there called the Buttercross. Every small market town has a Buttercross.
Can I just say, Winchester High Street and the Buttercross. Yeah. That's a slice of life,
isn't it? And me and my friend Susie, we'd put on our headphones with our Sony Walkman cassette.
Love it.
And we'd put this on, and there was a time when both of us knew all of the words, and we just used to dance. So it was our own little private silent disco. We didn't have anywhere else to go, really. My friend Susie, who's such a cool dancer, she's absolutely brilliant. She was just mesmerising, and I was just kind of flailing along behind, to be honest. But it is an era-defining track, isn't it? And it's set in motion, what has now taken over the world in terms of hip-hop and rap. But when we first heard it, it was kind of the only one on the page. And it was extraordinary because it's still one of the best on the page.
Can you recite the first verse?
No, I can't do any of it. And don't put me on the spot.
Oh, come on,
no,
Fee.
do not.
You set that up.
No, don't put me on the spot, because when I was choosing these tracks and I thought, shall I put Sugar again? And I thought, how odd that it's all fallen out of my brain. And I think sometimes with music, actually you can sing along and know the next lyric, even if you haven't heard a song for 40 or 50 years. But do not put me on the spot and ask me to do this. It belonged to my very, very early teenage years. A lot of stuff has gone in since then.
Okay.
But let's face it, a lot of stuff's fallen out.
Can you do it, Jane?
I wouldn't. I just don't dare to.
Okay.
No,
should we just play this? No.
No.
Imagine if I launched into it, were perfect. No. So, Fee, we're going to have the final track from you.
My final track.
Okay.
Yeah, which is The Pretenders and Brass in Pocket. And
yes.
Chrissie Hynde, I think, is one of the most intriguing, wonderful, cool, dynamic, overused word coming at you, authentic women in the music business. She's just stayed true to herself all the way through. I wish she'd speak more, tell me more things, make more music, write more books. I love everything about her.
Yeah.
And I think, when you go back to the 1980s as the young women, well, teenagers that we were at the time, you can't underestimate the power of someone like Chrissy. So she fronted a band. She was just effortlessly stylish. She was quite masculine.
She wore jeans,
but feminine and sexy.
Yeah.
She was just everything, absolutely everything that I, as a very young woman, hoped that I would have the choice to be one day. So her influence on me is huge, and honestly I love everything that she said. I read something with her the other day actually where she was talking about she's been married several times, I think at least twice, and she said both times I've sincerely loved the man that I was with and tried to be very kind. It hasn't worked out, but here I am. And it's just things like that where you think somebody else might have been bitter, might make a joke out of it, might not want to talk about it, whatever it was. She's a woman who is very much speaking to me.
Her voice, by the way, is still remarkable.
It is.
I don't know.
It hasn't changed, has it?
It hasn't changed. Not everyone is fortunate enough to have that clarity of voice. Because how old is she now?
Well, I think she must be in her 70s now.
She might be.
Yeah. She's got a bit, hasn't she? I tried to get her to do this, and the agent said, Chrissy doesn't do things like this.
No, she probably doesn't.
And I thought, well, no respect, because she's very cool. There's an air of mystique around her. And
that's
sometimes
so interesting, because that's kind of what I mean. I want her to be on more things like this. But I suppose I want her to do that because I don't hear her everywhere. But she is wonderful, isn't she?
Yeah.
I think she's just a really, really, really fantastic, talented, thoughtful musician. So I love her.
Can I just thank both of you for doing this? And honestly, I'm made up to be working in the same building as you two and knowing you. And I'm always available for a regular slot.
What was the subject you'd like to cover again?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.